Joris Merks is a research manager for Google and also European champion and Open German champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He practiced martial arts for 20 years and holds a black belt in Judo and Aikido. The book Joris has composed here, Samurai Business, unites his experience in martial arts with business practices, and that's what we'll be talking about today in the Omniverse. It is too often the case that many business gurus press us with an overly optimistic, if not metaphysical, message on how we may improve our business relationships with clients, co-workers, and even competitors. Too often, these recommendations involve adopting nothing more than a renewed positive attitude or a new hot business catchphrase or some new vague mental state that is offered as some panacea. The book Samurai Business by Joris Merks steps away from this by engaging the realities of business power struggles, both internal and external, with clear recommendations derived from the author's experiences in the martial arts. Joris Merks explains this is an approach rooted in reality and informed by his extensive experience in martial arts training and competition. In its own way, Samurai Business presents a new vision for managing one's business dealings. Much like that of Sun Tzu's Art of War, the art of war has often been applied too liberally in business applications, without those following its advice taking into account the fact that it recommends against war and prolonged conflict. As the art of war, Samurai Business is not about conflict. Rather, it promotes harmony, a harmony that is managed and developed by the wise use of a warrior's mindfulness. Merks calls for a warrior's tactics in one's business dealings with a clear emphasis on integrity and moral courage, factors that are in short supply in this present age. Merks begins by relating his early explorations of the martial arts, his love and respect for its incisive philosophies, and so on. Merks learned a variety of fighting styles and was well on his way to climbing new heights in his martial arts career. A knee injury interrupted his ascent, yet even this setback later led him to adapt Brazilian fighting styles into his repertoire, and several championships followed. Yet the injury still eventually forced him to break with training and reorient himself. One of his masters, who was also a lifelong mentor, led him to understand that this did not mean the end of his warrior's path. Initially feeling out of place in a standard workplace with its infighting and competitive yet counterproductive social order, Merks found ways to apply his fighting skills and these ethoses to dealing with coworkers, managers, and the competition. The book he references, along with The Art of War, is The Book of Five Rings, composed by the great samurai master Musashi. This gave Merks additional insights into the necessity of developing one's warrior skills in pursuits outside of fighting. Samurai Business has a message, and it is one that I believe we have sorely needed as we are seemingly bombarded by the ethical failings of many of our institutions and those in authority. Merks gives one a path through such times, and he provides one with the means to uphold the highest standards of integrity while facing the hard choices and new challenges of this singularity age. As I have noted in some of my own writings, Merks calls for corporate responsibility and integrity, and he calls for it to reach new heights by pointing out that the new digitized age increasingly exposes ethical failings as well as corporate weaknesses. Yet few corporations now seem to understand the dangers of these digital ratings. Ethics will matter, and it is best to adhere to best practices now before one has to contend with the ghosts of past sins haunting the web. Merks periodically reminds the reader that one must find the rewards extant in seeking improvement rather than profit, balance, self-development with corporate and even client demands. Getting lost in office politics, he admonishes, will only yield short-term gains. Like kids in the early stages of judo, using one move over and over again will only work a few times. Also, he recommends guarding your reputation, as it will be stuck to you as you move forward. Management bears a responsibility also in controlling these sort of internal political moves and counter moves. And it needs to take actions that Merks represents, which involve team-based efforts and rewards based on team performances. This tends to weed out some of the more difficult players. Merks' business ethics invite comparisons between things such as street fighters versus a gentleman contender. He asserts quite strongly that really only the latter, the gentleman hero, has a chance of becoming truly great. As in competitive fighting, Merks indicates that one must also work with these following qualities in mind. Awareness. Cultivate a sense of being aware of your situation at all times. Be conscious of the moment. Balance. Make sure that you have not only the physical balance of a warrior, but the mental balance of a warrior, that you've protected yourself and that you know who you are and you are in control of your working environment. He also admonishes us, don't be afraid to say no. Sometimes those taking on too much in an office setting are those who are rewarded the least. It is an unfortunate factor of human nature. Center control. This is something that is preached a lot in martial arts circles, and I myself have encountered it in my own training. Keep your core under control. Know your center and keep that core brand, if you will, of your corporation. If you wish to innovate, don't forget the core brand. See, I stepped away from just discussing the physicality of a fight, but that's what Merks does in a genius sort of way in this book. Distance control. This is true in cage fighting or martial arts or dealing with a competitor. Keep them at a distance when at all possible. Don't engage them directly. Don't grapple with a superior adversary. You have to adopt clear, intelligent tactics. Well, he admonishes us to carry all of those thoughts simultaneously in our minds. Well, there's a mental discipline and some homework for all of you listening to this. He also had an interesting section I found quite touching, which I guess could be summed up in the phrase, reflect without judging. We all make mistakes, and we all have things that we could be picking on ourselves for after the fact. He relates a story of two Buddhist monks traveling, and one of the older monks helps a woman cross a muddy road who is dressed in finery, and he sets her down on the other side. Later that night, the younger monk admonishes the older monk for doing this, saying, we're not supposed to touch women or interact. You know, you shouldn't have carried that woman across the road. And the older monk said, I did what I had to do under the circumstances, which was the right thing. And he looked at the younger monk and then reflected, I put the woman down. Apparently, you have not. Well, there's a lesson there. Don't let your past haunt you. Move on, learn, reflect without judging. Planning is good, but be ready for unexpected opportunities. Boy, that is so true. Too many times corporations, even individuals, get so focused on a certain goal or pathway to success that they fail to see the different branches on the road they're on. Of course, this is obvious. Life is all about change and the unexpected, but he tells you to be prepared for such. He also indicates that it's very important to manage one thing that we often overlook. We have to take responsibility and manage our own level of job satisfaction. He gives us a few pointers in the book, and I find them very useful, in managing a situation and reflecting on the position you're in. Is it right for you? Can you manage to be satisfied and balanced and carry all the other qualities you're supposed to in that position? If you can't, then you need to make some of the more difficult choices. One of the other things I found fascinating is one section that I really think could be a book on its own. Don't fight inevitable forces of change, and learn to see these forces coming. In other words, he throws up the example Merks does with the way the music industry, put up a fight against, downloadable music. Yet Apple comes forward and says, well, the industry is changing, and this is what we're left with, and we can still make money in this endeavor. And so far as I know, Britney Spears and a number of other top performers are still managing to hold on to their mansions, their Mercedes, and eating 3 squares a day. So effectively, that is kind of my first take on this book. I cannot summarize it well enough. So I heartily recommend this from the Omni channel and the Omni universe. Do take time to review this book. Find it on Amazon.com. It's beautifully written and it is beautifully composed with artwork that is stunning to behold. In fact, I would not mind having a few of these paintings on my wall. They beautifully illustrate the points being made, and Joris Merks is truly a visionary for the age, and I heartily recommend this book. It's an excellent read and something you can keep with you. It's a relatively compact tome, if you will. So this is Brian Carlson signing off from the Omniverse, and stay on fire, keep looking for the future, and we'll be with you. Thank you.